Good evening, Warriors, and welcome into another edition of the R&R Sports Report. I'm your host, Randy Isbell. With me, as always, Mr. Robert Hagan. Robert, we're back in studio, and I'm back too. How's it going?
Back in studio. Love it. It's time to start slowing down a little bit with coaching. Now it's time to really dive into some of these other sports as we have NBA kicking off. And
What is that?
yeah, exactly. NBA, NHL. Watch a little Kraken this weekend as we were watching NFL football down the other day. So it was
I feel like this show's going to have a lot of tangents.
just a little bit.
And that's okay. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. But first tangent of this entire episode, you know how Seattle Kraken showed up, and I went, all right, I'm going to switch teams.
Right.
I'm going to switch allegiances.
Right.
I'm going to be a Seattle Kraken.
Uh-huh.
I made an error.
Uh-oh.
Because last year I was like, all right, I'm going to get into the NHL. It's on ESPN Plus. It's great. And then my Disney Plus thing got all weird and wasn't letting me add on ESPN Plus. So then that became an error, an issue. We got that fixed. So this year, all right, Kraken time. And they're probably going to be bad, but I'm going to watch them.
Mm-hmm.
Kraken are blacked out on ESPN Plus. And I don't have Root.
Welcome to Seattle Mariners.
And I think, and honestly, I think Root and Dish are still mad at each other. So I am now rooting for a team I can't watch.
Exactly.
So
listen, I would, and I have to talk about them really quick, but Jimmy and I go down and watch Sunday Ticket down at our favorite place at Rookies, and just a little plug for Rookies. Go down and watch, and the thing about I like it there is you can go and basically spin around 360 and see all the TVs within a little bit, and then all of a sudden Darren and Lisa changed the one game. Well, yeah, it was Cincinnati versus Atlanta up on the TV, and then all of a sudden, all right, we're watching Seattle Kraken and the Chicago Blackhawks. Right. It's NFL Sunday. We should be watching all NFL games. Then we were giving Lisa a bad time when the Kraken, behind, and they got ahead, and then within 90 seconds, Chicago was back up on top, 5-4 in the third. So it was funny. We were rousing them just as much as anybody else. So, but
keep ranting. I'm checking on something.
Well, no,
we came up on a Facebook issue with StreamYard that says we weren't getting comments. I can't get the video to play on Facebook, so I'm going to check with somebody to see if it's working. If not, I'm going to have to throw a link on Facebook to go to YouTube. So that's great. Why don't you tell people about what's going on in the sub downstairs?
Let's talk a little bit about that. There are downstairs in the sub right now, LCSC sub. If you're a student listening to KLCZ 88.9 FM, they are doing decorating. The Spanish Club is downstairs right now doing decorating, cookies, lots of great things going on until 7 o'clock. So if you are looking for something to do besides, watching us or listening to us, come on down to the sub, make some cookies, get your hands dirty for a few minutes, have some fun.
Absolutely.
Celebrate both Halloween and I can't believe we're almost to that time that we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving and Christmas and holidays coming up fast approaching. And so if you are not doing anything, want to go, come on down to the sub here on the beautiful campus, LCSC.
I'm having issues. It's fun.
Well, that's okay.
Technology.
Gotta love it.
I'm getting old and I'm not as good with technology as I used to be. And I'm very curious if it's working or not. Come on, Facebook. Won't even pop up. Cool. So, start our football talk, and I will send a link to R&R Sports Report.
Well, it looks like mine is up, but let's talk
on
really
Facebook.
Quick.
Your video's going?
Yeah, mine has come up, so I could be wrong. Up now, it just blanked out and said no.
Okay.
Hey, so we'll talk a couple things. We always do a little bit of intro and that kind of stuff. I want to shout out really quick, and I don't know if you saw it. I know you're friends with Clarkson football and all that, but I have to shout out to all the coaching staff and the players of the entire program. As the freshman team lost just one game this year, JV went undefeated, and the Clarkson varsity team right now is in a three-way tie, or a tie right now, the top of the GSL. So every one of the teams has got a chance to play playoffs, and a little bit. And so hats off to Coach Bai, the rest of the coaches, all the way down, to Puny Me, head coach of 7th grade, but yeah, to Dallas and Taylor and all of those guys, Fox, and what they're doing at the high school level with all of those kids, have basically only lost 3 games at the high school level. Basically, you lose right now 2 to the varsity level. You've got 1 loss in the freshman level, and the rest of them are all undefeated. They've been playing some unbelievable football. So shout out to those guys. And I'm excited to watch a little football with those guys starting here this next week. So one other thing, shout out to our buddy, Denny Grubb. Happy birthday, Denny.
Yes.
The legend, LC legend, Denny Grubb.
His name will come up a few times. I don't know if he's going to be able to watch. I don't know if he understands what a YouTube is.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to get on there. If you are watching, make sure you're doing that.
We were just talking about that StreamYard it allows you to edit videos now. And we were talking about splitting things up and making videos for later. I think this episode is the perfect one to do that with, because 98% of the people that watch us, like the video feed, go to the R&R Sports Report Facebook page, and it's not working right now. So, yeah.
So with that being said, make sure you like and subscribe to the R&R Sportsbook.
If you're hopping over to the YouTube page for the first time, I did leave a link for Facebook, so we'll see how this works. Maybe we'll have nobody today.
I know we want to dive straight into football. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball here, but I want to spend like 2 minutes.
Okay.
And I want you to reflect on Lambeau Field. What was it about Lambeau? I mean, the picture, even for you on Sports Nation, if you guys don't know, Randy was in a picture on Sports Nation along with Haley. But it looked like it was unbelievable. I mean, you had to have had, what was it? What is it? 80,000 of your closest friends sitting next to you?
No, there's about 5,000 of my closest friends, and then 75,000 enemies, because there's a lot more Packers than Jets. But the Jets did really show up. No, it was an awesome experience. Honestly, we wanted to go just and make it a couple's vacation and kind of get away from a little bit. We didn't take the kids. But I will say Lambeau Field has a cool place called Titletown, which is just outside of Lambeau, like just connected to it. That is perfect for families. They have a full football field with the synthetic turf squishy stuff that is open to the public year round. Doesn't have to be a football game or nothing. So you can go out there and play. They've got goalposts and everything. They were doing pumpkin carving because it's that kind of season. They have all these little mini games like shuffleboard and ping pong. And hey, Robert got onto the YouTube. We got it to work. They have all that kind of stuff right in that same area. They have this giant hill, which we took a couple pictures of that, where kids can run down or roll down or whatever. We were winded just walking up the stairs next to it. So it's a cool little playground. They have a 40 time section where.
Did you run it?
I did not.
Please tell me
I did not run it. I'll talk about my near my near cool experience in a second. But they have a 40 time where I don't know how it triggers. Like it just has a sensor, and if you cross the start line, a clock on the end of the thing goes, and it'll track your time.
Right.
So you can have your little battles with the buddies and stuff. I challenged Haley, and Haley
we could
declined.
Have had a run, Rich, run moment, or in case
Randy run. I think Rich Eisen would have beat me. That's for sure. 6.5. That might be generous.
Ouch.
Now I'll challenge Robert to a 40.
Listen, with all of our challenges coming up, I actually ran into Brian, our buddy Brian McElroy. And they will talk a little bit more next week as they have their big combat fight in about 13 days. About it at the Clearwater River Casino. We'll talk about that next week. Hopefully we get one of them on before they fight. But he's already itching for us to get in.
Oh
there.
yeah,
He's ready to go.
It's going. We just obviously we talked about it several times. Obviously, personal things happen.
Oh yeah,
and then it's way too close to fight night
They're
to
in
get
fight
in their
mode.
way. And not only does not get in their way, I don't want to get in the way of those punches as they're getting into fight mode. Yeah, that is rough. The one cool thing that I did and nearly accomplished, I was nearly proud of myself, and I failed. On game day, they had some stations put out on that field I was talking about, and one of them was a quarterback challenge. It a lot like what you see during the Pro Bowl weekend with the NFL quarterbacks, but a little bit looser setup. And you could win a T-shirt if they had two like football player poster thingies set up, and if you could throw it through the hole on these standee deals, you could win a shirt. And you got 3 footballs to try, or there were buckets. One was Haley, if she's still listening, would know for sure. It was either 25 or 30 yards out, and another one about 40 or 45 yards out. And if you made 2 of those out of your 3 throws, you were able to win the T-shirt. So I went for that route, nailed the first one,
right,
and was getting a lot of razzing from the Packer fans behind me about how they were hoping Zach Wilson wasn't going to throw that well.
Right.
Because I was able to hit the first, barely missed the second one off to the right. And then my third one, I thought I nailed, and I hit it off the back of the post of the bucket. So I didn't win the T-shirt. But compared to some of the Packers fans that were throwing after me, I threw a spiral at least. I was happy about that.
When I was in Baltimore in 2018, that was the cool thing, is to go around, and I think the coolest thing is they have their pregame all set up with the radio show out there, and got to go and hang out with Jarrett Johnson, ex-Raven. He does his thing, but that was the same thing. I mean, they had huge not TVs, but like those blow up video boards that somebody would send protectors down on, and they had just about every game up there. People, and it was nice to finally be in a facility that you were the majority, not the minority.
Right. I was the minority.
That was the crazy thing.
Right. So. But by the end of the game, the Jets were the majority because all the Packer fans had left.
Right.
That was great. Did the tour with Ahman Green? The tour, was awesome. It was not a tour. I was really disappointed by quote unquote the tour. I don't know who that is. Robert Taylor saying Patrick McGoat. I don't know who that is. I've never heard of him.
Listen, I put him in the notes. We'll talk about him.
But the tour was not a tour. We just went up to a suite. Ahman Green told us stories for 30 minutes. Very cool stories. And he seems like a very genuinely nice dude. And even was just chatting with us randomly as we were moving on. So we go from the suite to an elevator, go down to field level, go up the tunnel that the players go through. They have artificial crowd noise that plays for you just to kind of give you that atmosphere or whatever. Go out on the field and check it out. Obviously no Lambeau loops or nothing because lawsuits and stuff.
You got a cool picture with him. You and Haley got a very cool
he was a very, very nice guy. I just wish that we had done that as well as an actual tour where we could check out the press box and stuff. Didn't go bug them because they were looking like they were prepping with some of the production team, but did see from afar Aaron Andrews, Greg Olson, Kevin Burkhardt, and who's the other one? Tom Rinaldi, who we were all starting to set up. I felt really bad because, obviously you see somebody on TV and you see him in person, it's different. But I was like, I think that's Aaron Andrews, but I'm not sure. And then Greg Olson came around the corner. I go, I know that's Greg Olson because Greg Olson's big.
Yeah, and that's
a big boy.
And that was the cool thing about that story, besides you being there, because it was cool. But Greg Olson was able to bring. If you're not familiar with his whole story of his son and his son's health and all that, he actually brought his son to that game and then got to meet Aaron Rodgers.
That's cool.
And he wanted to really meet Aaron Rodgers. So that was another good feel-good story.
But no, it was a really fun trip. It was cold. 50 degrees feels a lot different in Wisconsin than 50 degrees does here.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure. And then the wind did not help and rained on us a bit, but we had fun. Let's get into week 7 now. Obviously, we had some big teams on bye, but it didn't matter. We had some good games. I'm going to be skipping around through. Wasn't that cold. Stop it. It was cold. I was freezing. That's all that matters. Let's start with Green Bay. What is going on with this team?
Is it just because Haley's?
Yeah, Haley's making fun of me. So let's make fun of the Green Bay Packers losing to the Washington Commanders 23-21. Tyler Heineke does a decent enough job, does all he needs. Packers now, not only have they fallen farther behind Minnesota, who had a great bye week because they pulled farther away in the division, but now Green Bay goes at Buffalo on Sunday night. Anybody that has a loser pool with Robert Hagan, Green Bay is my loser. I'll have it here as the official pick here.
I already put it down.
Okay. So Robert Taylor, I knew this was coming.
It only took.
Will I retract my Aaron Rodgers is better than Mahomes take?
Probably not.
Yeah, again, when we did that list, it was just for this year, and the quarterback I'd want to do my starter franchise with just for 1 year, and I took Aaron Rodgers. 1,000% would I like to retract that statement, because boy did he age.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a good test for him. He has a lot of young receivers, and none of it is working for him.
It's got to be the haircut. Have you seen that ugly haircut? I mean, it's just terrible. But no, that's the thing. And now Alan Lazard injured. He's, is he going to be in there day to day with him? It's going to be interesting on what happens. But you know me, I always look farther down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And you did bring up the Bills.
Yeah,
I think 4 of their next 5 games are going to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
Bills definitely this week on the road. Lions should be a win. As much as I feel bad for Dan Campbell, I really like Dan Campbell. If he can't get some wins in, I think he might be done pretty soon. But the next 5, you've got at Bills, at the Lions, home versus the Cowboys, home versus the Titans. Titans look pretty good this weekend. And on the road in Philly. They've got a tough schedule over the next 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good chance that they go 1-4 over those next.
It's possible.
5 games.
2 and 3 seems generous right now, but we'll see how that goes. Usually I would not be worried about them playing Tennessee, but again, with that offense, I'd be worried about them playing Detroit right now. Well, and Detroit can't put up points.
And especially, they did talk about it. Maybe it's time that they cut the playbook in half. They should be doing the exact opposite. You should be expanding it out. That's kind of what I thought. Expand it out a little bit, but maybe it's time that they think about something like that.
Speaking of somebody that definitely aged over the offseason.
What are you saying?
Tom Brady.
Oh, okay.
Losing to Carolina.
Listen, that was
21-3. I'm sure that was a few people's loser picks. Just bad performance all around for Tampa Bay. I want to go to the alternate universe where Mike Evans makes that catch.
Yeah.
First drive was a third play of the game. It would have been a 60-some yard touchdown. I want to go to that alternate universe and see what the game would have turned out to be. Because it just seemed like he dropped that pass and the whole team was deflated the rest of the game.
I think you're 100% on that. I even went and I Googled today as I was doing notes. I'm like, Tom Brady's worst performance. And this performance of he did okay. He put up some okay numbers, but it wasn't even in the top 20 of his stats that were terrible. So, we all have bad days, but
oh yeah,
Brady just, it's not him. Even you watched his mannerisms out there on the field, because we had that game behind us, and so we were turning back every once in a while, but it just did not look like they had any kind of no rhythm whatsoever, zero rhythm. And now, yes, you're still sitting at number 1 in your division at 3-4 with Atlanta.
I am still 100% not worried about Tampa Bay winning this division.
Right, and I don't either, but you still got Carolina in there at 2-5.
Don't care.
New Orleans in there at 2-5.
Don't care.
It'll be interesting.
Atlanta, don't care. And they'll get it going. All right, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers will get it going. How many times have we seen a good team struggle off the box? This is why we do our eliminator deal on this game, or on our show. Is the overreaction to a team with a slow start. Tom Brady has done that multiple times. Speaking of a slow start, and another takeaway that I would like to retract, the Indianapolis Colts losing to Tennessee 19-10. Matt Ryan is injured, but it doesn't even matter because the coach came out and said we were benching him anyways. So 6th round pick out of Texas, Sam Ehlinger, will now be the starting quarterback for the Colts the rest of the way. The same Indianapolis Colts that I predicted would be the upset AFC championship team that would lose to Buffalo. I would like to take that back. And I almost took Indianapolis as my eliminator pick this week, but I did not yet. Man, what a bad take by me.
Well, I think the worst part is how Jim Irsay has come out with. It's time for that change. It's time, and you feel bad for Matt Ryan. Yeah, 15
quarterback carousel. Just keep spinning.
Yeah, 15 years. He was good. He was good in his time, but I didn't think he was. I thought he was going to play a lot better, but when you've got a decent guy behind him, but now you've got another backup, and Nick Foles going to be that guy there too. So it's going to be an interesting thing happening there in Indianapolis. Do they start? I really think they do. I think they do start the idea of where am I going to get a draft pick? Where am I going to be in the?
I don't know. That division's wide open too. Yes, getting swept by Tennessee definitely hurts your chances to win that division, but I don't think they rule that out just yet. Yeah. We'll get there.
It'll be.
One quarterback that did not have a bad day was Joe Burrow. I mean, it helped that he played a JV squad in the Atlanta secondary. Nearly 500 yards. There was almost 400 of it in the first half. I just wanted to shout that out because we'll talk about him in a little bit. But, man, that is what a good team does to a bad team, is what the Bengals did to the Falcons. I'm still not sure about the New York Giants. I know they've only lost one game, but every time they win on a Sunday and I look at how it went and I just go, I don't even know how they won this game, let alone last week or the week before. They steal one from Jacksonville, score the last 10 points, and Jacksonville makes what could have been the game-winning catch, but he gets stopped at the 1. I mean, this is the Giants season in a nutshell, is the way this game ended.
Yeah, and that was one of the earlier ones that started, and it was the last one to finish. I think I was more impressed that Barkley finally got going a little bit.
He's been doing great. He's your comeback player of the year.
I think so right now. But how funny. Him and Daniel Jones. That was the thing, that both of them over 100 yards. That was what Jimmy and I were talking, sitting there the entire time, was I think they've made it quite clear to Daniel Jones, you either perform or you're finished. So even, I mean, he hasn't played out of his socks, 90 percentile guy out there, but he's making the plays to keep this team in there. It's going to be interesting over the next couple of weeks. With
a good chance to make the playoffs, but I think that's a playoff team I want to play. I'm just saying. But they find weird ways to win.
Well, yeah.
They find weird ways to win. Your team finds weird ways to lose. Luckily, they don't lose to Cleveland, so I got my loser pick right. I'll give you 20 seconds to talk about this game.
Positive. Gus Edwards makes his way back. 2 big touchdowns in this game for him. Looked good, and then they kind of go away from their main guy. Kenyon Drake did the same thing. I think the big thing for me, Mark Andrews, 1 attempt at a pass. That was it.
Oh, I'm sure that was Cleveland's game plan.
They stayed away from him and just was able to do everything. But the same thing that killed us over the last few weeks is the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter has been terrible. Justice Hill.
All right, you're 20 seconds up.
Yeah, Justice Hill put the ball on the ground. It was rough watching that happen.
Do you know what team does not stink in the fourth quarter?
Probably Kansas City. No.
They just don't stink, period.
Just don't. I hate to say it.
How about the best team in the fourth quarter?
I'm afraid I think I know where you're going to go with
the New York Jets.
Well,
have a bigger point differential in the fourth quarter than any team in the National Football League. They've given up a touchdown in like the last 4 or 5 games in the fourth quarter. Absolutely phenomenal. They do it again against Denver. Yes, it's a backup quarterback. Don't care. To win, it was ugly. Breece Hall going down sucks. Elijah Vera Tucker goes down. Really sucks. We'll talk about James Robinson coming to New York and what I think about that. Sauce Gardner was fantastic again. It's
10 tackles.
If the Jets make the playoffs, it's going to be because of the defense. And I will just say real quick, anybody worried about Zach Wilson? I'm not. I'm worried about his health because the offensive line has had so many issues that it's free range for the defensive lineman to come after him. But he is doing exactly what he needs to do. He has not thrown an interception in the last 3 games. That's all I ask. Don't turn the ball over.
He's managing the game.
Yes. Yeah, and that is not a knock on Zach Wilson.
No, I mean,
he could go last year in and out of injuries. He was going for the deep balls and risking throwing turnovers. This year, you don't need to. With that defense, manage the clock, manage the ball. If the deep ball is not there, keep it yourself. It's working out really good. Seattle.
Oh my God!
Should we pull off this darn Band-Aid?
Yeah. As much as I have been hard on them, I did a little research about our boy Geno, and I started looking at just the stats through 7 games. And I'm gonna throw this out there, and I want to know: are we being too hard on him right now?
Who's been hard on him?
I mean, I was like, and I'll say at the very beginning, I thought he was not going to be the answer in Seattle whatsoever. I didn't think any of them. I thought
he is playing better than I thought. Yes, we need to stop. It's hurting my record.
I thought Baker was going to be the smart move to move into the trade for them, get him in there. That happened.
So glad they didn't do that.
Here are the stats right now that I saw. Right now, Geno Smith. 158 completions. That ranks him 10th right now in quarterbacks. 1,712 yards. That ranks him 7th, averaging 244 yards a game. He's averaging 8 yards of completions, which puts him 5th. He has 11 touchdowns, which is 6th on that list.
He's good.
If you look, you can't put. I mean, is he honestly a top 10 quarterback this year?
No. But
by
he's
the stats,
been good so
yes.
far.
By the stats, yes, you have to say, yeah.
No, you don't.
He's top 10, but it's so deceptive. That I think that's when I was looking at those numbers, I was just like,
he's having a very good year. It's helping that Ken Walker has been absolutely phenomenal as he gets a bigger and bigger role with the team. But while I don't think Geno Smith is a top 10 quarterback, I never thought he was going to be garbage. I just thought it was the defense that was going to struggle. And the defense has been playing okay. And that is why they are leading the NFC West. I still am not in any kind of a situation where I believe that the Seahawks are going to stay there. But they are definitely better than what I was thinking. And the funny thing is, we'll talk about it here in a second. Everyone predicted they were going to get a top 5 pick.
Right.
I still think they end up with a top 5 pick.
It's a possibility. It's really a possibility.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
You and I talked about it a few minutes ago, or last week. Is Kenneth Walker now with Breece Hall going out?
Yeah.
Now the new offensive.
It was going to be between those two, and I hope that Ken Walker stays healthy the whole season. He's really fun to watch.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him pull a Breece Hall at all. So yeah, I think he is the front runner for sure, especially with Zappe looking horrible. We won't talk about it, but New England just gets crushed by Chicago.
That was a little hard to.
It's great. Last game we'll talk about, and I'm sure this is what Robert Taylor's been waiting for. Not as close of a game as I think a lot of people were hoping, but I mean the outcome was what we were all expecting. Kansas City beat San Francisco 44-23. Christian McCaffrey, which happened after our show last week, getting traded to San Francisco.
Why does everything happen like within time of us?
Because the only bad things happen right before our show, like Breece Hall. But Christian McCaffrey gets traded to San Francisco. I think that's a huge trade for the 49ers if he can stay healthy. He touches the ball 10 times, looked all right, but it'll take him a little bit to get used to the new system and get him into more complex plays than what he had. No excuse here. Kansas City straight dominate San Francisco all the way through. Yes, Mahomes looks very, very good, throwing for over 400 yards.
It was an air show even with him and Jimmy G.
Yeah, it was a rematch of the Super Bowl, but they were connecting on more of the deep passes. It was more of a defensive battle for a bit during that Super Bowl. Offenses really showed out here. Listen, I'm going to take it from Tom Grossi. If you've never seen him on YouTube, go check him out. He is a Packers fan, but he does some really hilarious comments. He does a thing every week where he does every NFL fan's reaction to the NFL, whatever. And this week for Kansas City, he basically went, the NFL is not ready for what we're going to do to them after Buffalo beat us. Or if for whatever we do to the rest of the NFL, blame Buffalo, I think is what his joke was, because they lose to Buffalo and they're going to take it out on everyone else.
We can't do any kind of, I mean, I'm shocked that, I won the 2 different games that we had this week, but the NFL this year, it's goofy. I feel like, okay, coin flip time. I mean, as much as things have been weird happening, teams that should have won.
I'm talking to your mic, sir.
I'm still complaining about Lovie Smith. I'm sorry. Week 1. I mean, that set the tempo.
Stop it.
No,
stop
seriously.
Complaining about ties. We're gonna have more than that
ties.
one. The NFL wants ties because they put it to 10-minute overtimes.
Hate it. Just saying.
All right, let's get into our power rankings. And you know what? Mine almost stayed identical.
My top 4 did.
I thought about putting Kansas City over Philadelphia, and Robert Taylor said that that's what he did on his. And I can't blame him for it. I just didn't want to drop the Eagles on their bye week, though. And the Chiefs looked really, really good. So I can't disagree. But I saw Buffalo 1, Eagles 2, Chiefs 3. While I said I didn't move the Eagles out, I do move the Minnesota Vikings out on their bye only because, guys, Cincinnati's back. Yes, Atlanta had no cornerbacks. So I'm not expecting Cincinnati to do what they did against Atlanta every week. But Cincinnati's been good for these last few weeks now. Struggled, kind of had that Super Bowl slump after losing back in February. They've really turned things around lately. And you know what? Your Ravens are in trouble. I don't think they're going to win this division, and Cincinnati's going to start rolling away from it.
I don't know.
So I have Cincinnati 4. I'm going to keep Dallas at 5.
You look at their next few games. Yes, I think they should beat Cleveland this week on the Sunday night game of the week. Or are they Monday? They're Monday. They're playing Monday.
Yep, Monday.
Against the Browns. Then they get the Panthers.
But we don't do power rankings on upcoming schedules.
Right. But I think they're going to be decent there. Joe Burrow is not going to come out and throw that all the time. I think good 280 yards. For me, I think what I need to see a little bit more out of that team is getting Joe Mixon the ball, run. I mean, Jamar Chase has been Jamar Chase. 2 big touchdowns in the first half this last week. So I can't pull the trigger quite yet to put them right there.
Okay. Bills, Eagles, Chiefs, Bengals, Cowboys for me. What do you got?
And you said it a minute ago. It's hard to bring when I texted you. I want to say it was on Thursday last week when we were doing stuff. It's hard.
Yeah,
actually,
thank you.
Guys.
I remembered Colin Cowherd bringing up the stat. Robert Taylor reminds me, and I was going to bring it up during my power rankings. 0 second half touchdowns allowed by the Cincinnati defense. Thank you, Robert.
But 3 of the 4 teams that were on buys, top 3 in there, and so it's hard to, say Buffalo. Guess what? We're going to move you down, or Philadelphia move you down. So I kept Buffalo, Philly, and Kansas City all the same. I also keep Minnesota in the same spot. I think Minnesota is just going to run away with that division the way they were playing. Dalvin Cook looking good. I did have your Jets last week.
Yeah, which I think was a little high.
I think I might have, but I was so impressed with how.
But the team you
Hall
replaced
was
them with is even higher. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I'm going to put in the New York Giants. I'm going to switch the other.
I don't get it.
So
yes, the record's great.
I'm
happy for Giants fans that they're getting these wins too.
I'm not putting Dallas.
I don't believe that they're a good team.
I'm not putting Dallas up there. Dallas could be in the top 8, but not. I don't see.
Why not Dallas over the Giants?
Why?
Why not? Why not Dallas over the Giants? I'm just curious.
I think you said it a little bit ago. Barkley doing decently. Daniel Jones putting up decent numbers. I think that's the thing. I mean, it's been kind of an on and off with Dallas. Feed Zeke the ball a few times. He didn't have near as many yards, but he had the score this week, compared to Pollard. Dak looked okay coming back from finger injury. But we said it. Cooper Rush kept them in. They kept him in during this thing.
Not only did he keep him in, he beat the Giants. Dallas has already proven that they are better than the Giants. They beat him with a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I don't know. We'll see. I think it'll be a big answer for what these guys can do here in the next week or so. Dallas gets Chicago, so they should be able to roll all over. But
I don't know.
It'll be interesting.
I don't know.
New York Giants.
Did Chicago figure out their offense on Monday?
I don't know. I New York Giants at Seattle this week. I think that's going to be kind of an interesting afternoon game.
Wow, Giants at Seattle. Guess what, Seahawks fans? I'm picking your team. Sorry for your loss. Let's talk.
Muffin. I think I might do the same thing. Muffin.
Right. Talk some quick news here. Is once again we ramble. McCaffrey goes to the 49ers, as we talked about. Robinson will replace Breece Hall as he gets traded to the Jets for a 6th round pick. It'll be a 5th round pick. All he has to do is get to 600 total yards, and he's like already over halfway there. But still sad for the Jets to lose Hall and Vera Tucker for the year. We are 1 week away from the trade deadline. I know the Cowboys just traded with the Raiders for a defensive lineman that I saw. I forgot to write down the name, but be interesting to see. The NFL is getting a little bit more spicy with the trades, which we're seeing with McCaffrey and Robinson. We will see what happens. Trade deadline is not as fun in the NFL as it is for NBA or Major League Baseball. That's for sure. But we will see how it goes. I want to just throw this story out there. I know we talked about it a lot last year because as a Jets fan, I was very invested. I'm not as invested this year because they've been doing well. But just draft order stories I want you guys to keep an eye on, okay? If the season ended now, or the qualifications for the draft order ended today, the Houston Texans would have 2 of the top 4 picks. They would pick 2nd because their team stinks.
Right.
And they would pick 4th because Cleveland stinks. And they got that pick with the Deshaun Watson trade.
Right.
That's not bad. That's a good haul. And I don't see Cleveland really improving that much. So Houston is going to be that team I think is going to get a bunch. We hinted at it earlier that I still believe Seattle is going to have a top 5 pick. Do you know why?
Why is that?
Seattle owns Denver's pick. Denver currently would be the 5th pick in the NFL draft with the Russell Wilson trade. I don't see Denver really improving that much. That offense continues to just have nothing going for it, and I feel like they're going to trade away some of their pieces.
And just jumping on, and you saying that, so I was looking. Okay, Texans would hold 2 positions, and just looking at right now CBS's draft order prospects.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the edge rusher, the junior edge rusher, Will Anderson, Miles Murphy, C.J. Stroud.
Yeah,
and Bryce Young.
Yeah, if they pick 2 of the first 4, they're picking the quarterback and best available player.
And then just looking, I mean, there's a lot of youth that's up in that draft right now.
Well, that's how drafts work.
They look, but I mean, where I'm just saying, as far as age-wise, not being senior out. And
yeah.
I could see. I mean, if Houston's got to go C.J. Stroud. I mean it or Bryce Young.
Yeah, well, I don't care about mocks yet.
I mean, we're still we're still 8 weeks into.
It's too early for mock drafts, but it's not too early to kind of get a feel of where your team might be, especially with with NFL teams trading away picks so more often these days,
Mhm.
it's always fun to kind of see where teams sit. Obviously, now the Seahawks are done with giving up their picks to the Jets, so I'm not as invested that route. But it's always interesting with all these draft picks going on. Speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles, who had 3 first-round picks going into the draft last year, went 2 for 1, if you remember, with the New Orleans Saints. So the Eagles ended up getting the 18th pick, while the Saints got the 16th and the 19th of last year.
Okay.
When the Eagles did that, they got the Saints' first-round pick this year, and then their second-round pick the following year. I think that works out great for the Eagles. So the Saints get 16 and 19. The Eagles got 18, and right now the 6th pick this year. So your undefeated Philadelphia Eagles right now have a top 6 pick, and it could get better.
It could get a lot better, and impressed with what, Jalen Hurts has done in receiving court. I think they're just flying to the point of just throwing everything out there, everything, and watching some of the play calls that they've ran, some of the unorthodox looking, runs,
whatever works,
and what they're getting to work, it's been crazy.
I'm gonna test something.
Uh-oh.
Because I know how you like to not follow instructions. I'm gonna do my best to give you an instruction, and I want to see if you follow it.
No, I'm a teacher.
I want you to
My
pick
kids don't even listen.
one game in week 8 that you want to watch.
One game
I
want to watch. Boy.
Every time I tell you to do 1 or 2, you turn into somebody that we know from a bowling league and pick a different number. But what is that one game out there that just stands out as this is going to be great? Kansas City and the Chargers are on bye, so we don't get to see Mahomes out there.
All right, I'm just going to do it. Sunday Night Football. I know it's going to be tough, but I want to see
you want to see a bloodbath?
How does Green Bay, how does Aaron Rodgers handle the idea of
Haven's with you
of Buffalo being at home? How does Aaron Rodgers come into Buffalo and try to win, not knowing if Alan Lazard's going to be there? And I feel bad for.
I don't.
I agree, but it's what you and I were talking about yesterday. Why isn't Aaron Jones getting handed the ball more? Or why?
I wish he went to the Jets. I'm happy with James Robinson. I wanted Aaron Jones.
I think hands down that's got to be the best.
I asked this question partially because I wanted to save time, and we're not doing that. But
when have we ever saved any time?
We gotta get some high school, and I want to give them some love, especially Idaho starts their playoffs this week. But it was partially to save time, partially too. There's not a lot of great games this week on paper.
No,
which means we're gonna get some really good stuff. The game I'm most excited to watch,
welcome to the NFL,
which I hate to say it, is that Giants Seahawks game. 2 teams that I sent this to Robert Taylor, and I don't know if I sent it to you too. I can't remember. There is one game this week that has 2 teams that have a record of over 500, and it's the Giants and Seahawks, just as we all predicted, right?
I looked at the standings today, and I saw that. Then that's the thing. I mean, everything else you look at.
Yeah. 49ers, Rams, no. Nope. Packers, Bills, no. Bengals, Browns, no. It's the
Arizona,
Giants,
Minnesota,
and that one. All right, Thursday night football,
Baltimore, maybe.
Thursday night football. Yeah, that one's not 2 teams over 500 either.
No.
Baltimore at Tampa Bay.
Sucks. I don't have Amazon Prime. I can't watch it. Plus, we're finishing stuff for our family thing on the weekend. But I have to take Baltimore.
I have to take home team on Thursday night.
They're gonna thump up on Tom Brady. Tom Brady's gonna cry some more.
My streak of picking against you the last couple weeks has gone very poor.
Woohoo! I've picked up 6 games on you in 2 weeks.
We have picked 6 games different in the NFL. You've won all 6.
Yes, sir.
We picked 1 game different in our high school college picks last week, and you got that one right.
And I was texting you. Was it Friday?
I think it was Friday when that college game happened. Just
woohoo! I win.
Silly. Eliminations. So far, I've eliminated the Patriots, Panthers, Commanders, Texans, Steelers, and Bears. Robert has eliminated the Texans, Falcons, Patriots, Steelers, Panthers, and Lions. This list, we'll have to figure out a better way to do it. But if you listening for the first time, whether it's on klcz.com or wherever R&R Sports Report is working right now, I believe it's still just YouTube. We eliminate one team from playoff contention each week. After 18 weeks, hopefully we've picked the 18 teams that did not make the postseason. The math kind of worked out, so we wanted to have some fun with it this week. I'm going to go with what you took last week. Detroit Lions just continue to not come out with victories. They didn't look that great against the Cowboys. Their offense has fallen off with St. Brown being injured. So it is finally time for me to take the Lions off the board.
Yeah, I think that's a good selection. Even though I feel bad, like I said, I do like Dan Campbell. I like the way he coaches. I feel bad for him. For me, I think I could have went with this team a couple of weeks ago, but I've just kind of held off. But it's time to extinguish the Russ Cook. No more Russ cooking. I think Denver's done. So stick a fork in them.
They are on my option list. That's for sure. All right, let's get through some high school football. I'll run through the Idaho. You run through Washington.
All right.
That work for you?
That works for me.
Sucks for me because there's way more Idaho, but that's okay. Last week of the regular season in Idaho football, Bengals needed to win to make the postseason. They dominated Coeur d'Alene. It's only the third time in their last 21 meetings that the Bengals beat the Vikings. They win at 40-6. So they locked up the second seed in the Inland Empire League. They will host a playoff game against Middleton on Friday night at 7. We will talk more about that in the second hour. Rush for over 200 yards as a team. The White Pine League finally got sorted out just a bit. Clearwater Valley ended up being the 2 seed. They beat Troy 42-6 to lock up their spot. Anthony Fabi had 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards as well. Kamiai, who had already locked up the 1 seed, shut out Potlatch, so they get to go in strong. They won that one 54-0. Prairie needed to win to possibly make a playoffs. They needed to win and have Lapwai lose to automatically get in, but a win would have helped them get a possible at large. They get the job done against Logos 48-20. Lapwai does win their game against Genesee. That was not surprising to most people. So Lapwai ended up being the 3 seed in the White Pine. And I am still shocked. I wanted to go on a rant, but we don't have the time. Prairie is a very, very good team.
Prairie's a great team.
They dealt with crazy injuries in the middle of the year. Their only losses are to the top 3 teams in their conference. And they are not going to the postseason behind a team that went 2-5.
Yep. Sucks. It does.
It is. I mean, with East Coast bias in America, for those that are listening that are not from the area, Southern Idaho bias when it comes to anything sports. And it shows, and I feel bad for the Pirates, who really were able to turn their season around the last couple of weeks as they started to get a little healthier. Do I think they would have really went on a run? No. But they deserve to make the playoffs, and I feel bad for them. And it just really sucks.
Yeah, I think they probably could have made semis, maybe quarters.
In Class A Division II, Clearwater Valley locked up Lewis County locked up the 2 seed, 28-6 over Timberline. So they will take on Garden Valley in the playoffs this week. It's their second playoff berth in 4 years. It's big because, the number 1 spot has been locked up for a long time as Kendrick continues to roll 66-0. Obviously, they finished the regular season undefeated. They were the state champions last year. They defeated the Class 2 state champions earlier this year. And I don't know if, like Robert Taylor or Haven, you guys are still listening. The streak continues to get insane for the Kendrick Tigers. They are now on a 372-0 scoring streak in their games. 372. They scored 50 points in the first half against Deary. Obviously, by the second quarter, and by the way, 372 unanswered points. Other than last week, their last 2 games before that did not even make it to halftime before the other team gave up.
One quit within 8 minutes, with still 8 minutes left on the clock.
So this team should roll through the state tournament. My question to you, and I think this was a question that got asked on the Between the Lines video cast that we do for the Lewiston Tribune. I can't remember if we did it on air or after. Over under 20 points given up by Kendrick in the entire state tournament. They play 3 games if they make it the whole way.
I would probably say under, but just maybe just barely. But you look at those Southern Idaho teams where they're a little bit more biased. But Kendrick is just the dominant force and has been for the last couple of years. So
just finishing up the Idaho scores. Garden Valley, who I just said will be taking on, what was it, Lewis County. They crushed Salmon River 53-12. St. Mary's took out Orfino 39-6. And the last game, unfortunately, Moscow does go winless on the year. They lose to Lakeland 45-0. The key moment in this game, apparently, was when have you ever heard of a streaker in a high school game?
I've never heard of a streaker.
There was a streaker at the Moscow football game, apparently. Don was listening to the play-by-play and lost his mind when the play-by-play hit it. I think it was the assistant athletic director tried to make the tackle and missed, and he got away. It was the most yards gained by a Moscow Bear in that game.
that is funny. I'll have to make a phone call up the hill and just see what happened with that one.
Right. It's
touch base with our buddy Brandon Murphy.
All right, hit us with the.
All right, let's look at
Washington
stuff. We're going to start things off in the lower classes. Colfax knocked off Asotin 40-20. They were tied going into the fourth quarter, and Colfax rushing touchdowns by Mason Gilchrist in the fourth puts Colfax well in charge of that one. Liberty Christian wins and beats Pomeroy 54-20 and snaps a 5-game win streak by Pomeroy, who has been playing unbelievable this season.
They had their own unanswered scoring streak going into this one. They were up over 300.
Yeah, it's crazy too. Trevin Kimball had 134 yards rushing on 30 carries. Keegan Bishop also 5 touchdowns for Liberty Christian. Liberty Christian now 8-0 on the season. So then we turn our attention to some GSL action. Pullman finally getting back off on the win streak after they had a couple of bad weeks, losing to the Bantams and then also losing the week earlier to Shadle Park. They come away with a 46-0 win. Taryn Page had 4 rushing touchdowns, 149 yards on just 9 carries. Big scores on that one. So you put in the butt tackle. I missed that one because
Lewiston Tribune writer Stephen Wiebe was at this game, and one of the things that he put in the key takeaways was, we all know about the butt fumble, and we still make fun of me as a Jets fan about the butt fumble.
Go, Mr. Santos.
Earlier this year, we had the butt punt. It didn't work out because Buffalo still won, or Miami still won that game. That was that game. In the Pullman game, we had a butt tackle for loss. So it was a rainy game. It was rainy all over the place over this weekend. And both East Valley and Pullman struggled to hold on to the ball. East Valley running back Sherlin Watt tried to make a move, ran into the backside of his own offensive lineman and fumbled the football. He did recover. So it wasn't a butt fumble. It was a butt tackle for loss is what we're calling it.
Crazy. How do you follow that up? How about a 75-yard punt return?
Crazy.
For a touchdown?
You sent me that clip. It's so awesome. That was a really fun one to call. I was able to listen to you guys in the switch between the first quarter and second quarter. I was able to listen for a little bit, but definitely missed the fun.
Yeah, I had the privilege into calling that one, and let me tell you, that was an unbelievable one. Clarkson ends up winning that one 24-17. But yeah, Landon Taylor comes away with a big punt return, 70. I think they were calling it 76. They were right there, pretty close. Cut it back, got it up to the sideline, did really, really well in that one. In a game that Shadle Park looked very vanilla. They didn't change their formations much, but was pretty good. So now, if you're a Clarkson fan, you actually have to be pulling now for Pullman to beat West Valley this weekend. We'll talk about that. That's one of our picks a little bit later. But as far as playoff time.
Okay, we'll get to that. Let's quickly get through some college football. Big games that happened over the weekend. How about Idaho continuing to roll? They should have beat Portland State, and they do. It's tied 21 all at halftime, and the Vandals outscored Portland State 35-0 in the second half. That is a theme that we will be talking about in college football from the week. Giovanni McCoy had 4 passing touchdowns. Oh, and he caught one too, just for fun. Idaho has a huge
They've got a big game this weekend.
This week. We will also be talking about that in the second hour. I got to watch a lot of this game, but how about Clemson surviving against Syracuse? Both teams were undefeated. Syracuse is no joke. But Clemson wins that one 27-21. They went to their freshman quarterback, Cade Klubnik, I believe is how you say his name. He came into the third quarter as their starter, who I still refuse to attempt his name. He just did not have it. He only threw the ball 4 times. He was 2 of 4 for 19 yards, had 6 carries for 15 yards, but they kind of did that whole option deal, and it really worked out for Clemson. They wore down Syracuse. Will Shipley had 27 carries for 172 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 50-yarder with a little more than 11 minutes to go to give Clemson the lead. Clemson outscored Syracuse 17-0 in the fourth quarter. Again, it's a theme that happened in college football. Going against the grain, Alabama just dominated Mississippi State. We'll give them credit, 30-6. TCU outscored Kansas State 21-0 in the second half to win 38-28. Ole Miss jumped out to a big lead. You are not who they said was going to be here today. How's it going? Good. Now I got to change some stuff. TCU, like I said, 21-0 there. LSU was down 17-3 in the second quarter, came back to win that one 45-20. Oregon had a big win against UCLA, and Oklahoma State comes out with a big win against Texas and a 14-0 fourth quarter run for the Cowboys there as well. What big game came to you there?
Yeah, I didn't get to watch a lot of them just because Clarkson was playing on Saturday, but pretty dominant in that one over UCLA. That was the one I was most excited about watching, but I thought LSU would have put up a little bit more of a fight against Ole Miss, but welcome to the SEC in that one. So your new rankings, no change in the top 6. They all stay the same. Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Tennessee 3, Michigan 4, Clemson 5, and Bama number 6.
Yeah, not too much movement. The big one, Ole Miss dropping 8 spots. They're now 15. LSU's up in the rankings. They're up to 18th. So a couple of big games coming up this weekend. Ohio State takes on Penn State, 2 top 15 teams there. Number 9, Oklahoma State takes on number 22, Kansas State. Number 19, Kentucky will go up against number 3, Tennessee. Ryan Needham is losing his mind with how good Tennessee's going, I have to believe. And I just threw this on here because you are a Cincinnati fan.
I am. I like Cincinnati.
And they are ranked 20. But they take on UCF this week, and ESPN has the line as dead even. So that'll be a fun game to watch.
Listen, I'm still upset that Atlanta, the Falcons, have not put in Desmond Ridder over Marcus Mariota. And that's just being a Cincinnati.
We're not talking about Atlanta.
Know, but I'm just saying, yes.
I'm already getting thrown Cincinnati for a loop from our first guest here. Now you're going to throw things even more.
This is not who we were.
But that's expecting. Okay. I like Jada. So we're going to have Jada awesome. Wims. We're just going to pop things on. So Jada, thank you so much for coming back on the show. We'll have to get that mic close to you because it's not the best mic, but that's okay. So how have you been? It's been a pretty up and down season as it usually is.
Yeah. Doing pretty well, I think.
There you go.
I think it's just getting towards the end of the season, so we kind of got to lock down just on our training and just being disciplined, but I think we're making strides. Since the beginning of the season, I think we're in a good place to, put our efforts forward on the court.
So obviously not the last 2 weekends that you were kind of hoping for, go 1-3, but you were playing some tough competition in the Cascade Conference. Everyone that we've had on this year, that's all we keep talking about, just how tough this conference is. Talk about some of those games, especially for me, the Evergreen State game. There's one stream I just could not get to pull up, but I was watching the scores go by, and you kind of roll a little bit in the second set, but all 3 of the sets that you guys lost were all extremely close score-wise. Just kind of talk about that match a little bit.
I think Evergreen is a lot similar to us as a team in a lot of ways. It was a good game. I think we were battling pretty much for every point. I don't know. Sometimes it's just a matter of, it could be like bad calls, or just a matter of finishing out those long rallies. that's something that I think we're making an effort to work on and practice, just not like giving up on points and stuff like that. But I think that game was a good lesson for us, just to keep our head in the game at all times. But I do think it was good competition, and it was a good opportunity to, see what we can work on within our control.
Yeah, you look at that. That's a tough games, road trip for you guys over the last 2 weeks, and so how do we go into this final homestand? Changing the mindset. Is there a lot of mindset changing in practices over the last couple of days?
Yeah, I think that this, kind of coming towards our end of the season, I think we have to keep a bigger picture in mind, because postseason is coming up. So even though we might be coming close to an end on Cascade Conference play, we want to just keep in mind of the bigger picture, knowing that we're going to be playing the same teams that we've played before. Maybe we'll see a team for the third time at the end of this season. So just not getting complacent, always working hard. Some things that might have worked in one game might not work in the future. So just being kind of crafting in that way, and just keeping the bigger picture overall. And I think a lot of sports, especially volleyball, teaches us, a lot of tools that we can use throughout life, and just keeping that bigger picture also in mind could go a long way.
So I'm going to take this from a couple different perspectives. We'll start with the more maybe emotional, we'll get into it, aspect of it. Obviously, the final homestand this weekend, a big group of seniors. I always get confused now that we've had the COVID year, which seniors are available to come back and which ones aren't, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But last home game of the season for a lot of you ladies, it's what kind of emotions do you have coming up to these last two games?
I think we've accepted the fact that this is the only time we're going to have this team. There's a lot of things that each individual brings that people in the future might not bring, or you might not see for a while. So I think focusing on the now, the present, and just being grateful for each other and playing for each other is something that we really focus on our team. But it is definitely emotional, just because we've grown really fond of each other. We've gotten really close. Even with the newcomers this year, we've made a strong culture for us. So I think that aspect is going to be a little hard it's going to be bittersweet for sure this weekend. But I think gratitude is overall energy that we're going to try to bring and show.
And take it from the emotional side to the focus side. Obviously, Warner Pacific and Multnomah, not two of the stronger competition in the Cascade. And you did bring up playoffs, as we're getting closer and closer to that time, and you guys are right on that edge right now. How do you guys keep your focus on two teams that on paper you guys should beat? But I mean, that's sport for you. If you take your eye off the ball for a little bit, any team can beat you. So how can you stay focused with all of the senior night stuff going on, and one more week after this before playoffs? How can you focus on these two teams?
I think focusing on what we can control rather than who's on the other side of the net is something that could work really well for us. We obviously have things we can work on individually, but also things we can work on as a team, and focusing on that more than who's on the other side of the net. It could be a nationally ranked team on the other side of the net, but we would still have that focus. So execution is going to be a big thing. I think it's a little bit more difficult, to keep the discipline in games that might not be as competitive as games you played before. But yeah, kind of having that bigger picture focus, and you could visualize that you're playing for the playoffs to get into nationals. With someone on the other side of the net who might not be that, but that shouldn't dictate how you play, I think. So yeah, we'll be working on that for sure.
We've talked a little bit over the last few shows, with Sean and talking even after volleyball games, the difference this year compared, we're still doing the COVID stuff. Talk a little bit about how the student section and the fans this year, in your perspective of what's happening with them being in the environment at the P1FCU Activity Center. I mean, it just seems to be just a phenomenal atmosphere going on right now.
COVID year was really tough. I think a big aspect of sports that people don't typically, depend on, but it's really nice to have, that support, loud crowds, cheering with you while you're cheering, for your own team. And I know we have a lot of the community members that would come out during COVID year and last year. But it's something different about just your peers being out there and being able to see people, you might see walking across campus or people you have classes with. Just knowing you have that support from your peers, people who are a lot like you in a lot of similar ways. Definitely like kind of put some fire under you for sure. It makes you want to, defend the school that you go to, defend your friends, your community, things like that. So it's definitely, taken us a long way. You could see for sure in the difference between last year and this year. And I'm really grateful for that. You see all these different sports teams, but also just, students of LC. And I think that brings us closer just as like a college as a whole.
Yeah, we've talked to several of your other teammates throughout the weeks and talking about how loud it gets in there. And you guys definitely feed off energy, and whether it's from the crowd or from yourselves, you're a different team, I think, when you kind of hit that looseness level that really works out. And I can always tell when you guys are in peak performance by the way you guys are acting on the bench. But my question is, can you hear the crowd out there while you're playing? I've heard different where they can pinpoint different people talking to, I don't hear them at all. What is it for you?
For me, I'm kind of locked into the game. I don't really hear the crowd when I'm in the game more than on the bench. I could hear, when I'm out, I could hear people from the crowd, cheering with us. But on the court, I really don't hear it. But I think it's, different for everyone. Some people, feed off of that. I feed more off of the atmosphere rather than like hearing it. But I think you can feel it even if you can't hear it. So
you guys huddle between every point, and I'm sure it's words of encouragement or something to fix or whatever goes on in the huddles. We talked about it before. I kind of bring it back. The huddle's going to be a little bit different this weekend with it being the final home games, or will that really start hitting you as we hopefully get into playoff time and the season gets closer to an end?
I think we'll still be consistent in those huddles. Just focusing on connection. I think that's the baseline that we always go back to as a team, whether we're doing well or not doing our best. So I don't think that huddles are going to change necessarily. But I do think we're going to be a little bit more deliberate in our huddles. I know we might take a while just with like cheering and stuff like that. So, but I don't think that's going to change. I think we're still going to, connect after every point.
Yeah, and that's the thing we've noticed when we were talking about Dante a couple of weeks ago. What's your perspective of what he brings to the team this year?
I think Coach Dante brings a really level head. He has a wide perspective. And it's different hearing you can have two coaches and they might see the same thing but just communicate it differently. And I think that gives us a way to just like be touched in different ways. Whatever works for me might not work for the next person. But I think Coach Dante does have a good feel of, what works for us, energy level things that we need to hear in certain times when, we kind of need to get like cracked down on a little bit, or words of encouragement. I think he has like a good feel for that. But he's also super funny. So
well, listen, we've seen him dance out there. So, I mean, do his little thing in the huddle and kick around a few times. So.
We'll call that dancing.
I mean,
Alicia told me during this road trip, they got Sean in the huddle dancing.
What?
Yeah, for sure. I think.
Did somebody get a video of this?
I don't think so. No, but
that's why I did it on the road, so we didn't have a video of it.
Yeah, probably so.
So we've been talking obviously a lot of the seniors and you guys coming up on senior night. I want to talk about that new crop that you were talking about, the new players that have really come in. So many of them have really stepped up. Just kind of talk about some of them that have really stood out to you and what you think the future of LC volleyball is going to look with those ladies.
I do think we have a great group of girls, underclassmen that have come in this year. The three that I have in mind are Esther, Maddie, and Jules. I think all of them are very mature in a sports sense. I think they all show up every day to work hard, to get better. I do think that experience is going to help them a lot, but I do think they came in with a really good place to be in. You can tell that, they're open to learning just from the team that we have now and us as seniors, they're taking all of it in. But I do think that they're in a really good place they have a good work ethic, I think, and they're it's easy to connect with them. They're really easygoing people, easy to love them. So I think with them being here and new people coming in after them, they're going to be a good example for LC volleyball and our culture that we have.
And obviously, we had you on the show last year, and kind of we're talking about what you wanted to do in the future. Now it is your senior year. We're getting closer to that point. Has anything changed? Anything become more in focused on your plans after school, or still trying to work that stuff out?
For the most part, long term, I'm still trying to work things out, but I know for sure I'm going to go back to school. Probably in business. I do want to go more technical writing route just to have more open opportunities in the workforce. But yeah, it came up fast. I really thought I had a little bit more time, but I'm excited.
So we look at it Friday, big matchup as we take on Warner Pacific. You look at the numbers where you're at, 10-8 on the season, 6th right now in the standings. Let's talk a little bit about Warner Pacific. What can we expect to see setting up offense or defense against them? What should we be looking for from the Warriors going up against Warner Pacific?
I think we're really focusing on defense-wise, so big blocks, getting into position in the back row defense, just getting in a good position to run all 3 of our hitters in the front row to just be a threat at all times. I do know Warner Pacific has kind of sped up their offense a little bit from last year. So just being disciplined on the net, staying still, being able to read, things like that. But it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be like an easy game by any means, just because what I was saying before with keeping your head level and being disciplined and things like that. But I do think we're going to be working on defense and just being still and disciplined.
You made a great comment, and we've talked with a couple of them about this, and you said the word reads a minute just a second ago. For you, I mean, just watching from a standpoint of radio or from just being PA, you've got to come up with some very fast decisions. I mean, what is there certain things that you do to try to cut down the process that makes things easier for you?
I've kind of let go of anticipating, because if I anticipate and it's wrong, then I think the recovery process is going to take so much longer. So I kind of I'd rather, be a little bit later for certain things. If not all the way out there on a block, I want to make sure I'm still in a neutral position and not going the other way, just so I can get all the way out there. I know a lot of balls come quickly. And as a middle, you kind of have to be up a lot sooner than any other hitters. So you just kind of got to commit to it without hesitation. So not hesitating really has helped me just get in good position.
All right. So we did this to you last year, but we've changed things up. So we'll have some fun again. So we'll get through our quick questions and, our hard hitting stuff that we do here on the show. So we'll just start off. And I'm very curious because I think we've asked 3 different volleyball players this question and none of them have answered it correctly. But what is your favorite board game?
Ooh, favorite board game. I don't like Monopoly. I'll be honest with that.
We got a story there. That's great.
I like Life. I haven't played it in a while.
There you go.
That's like a nostalgic type of
And Kenzie Cloward, I asked her that question and she went Monopoly. Why'd I say that? I don't like Monopoly. It's like, and then she did a card game. I think I've asked favorite board game to 3 people and they all gave me a card game. So you picked a board game. So it's great. We might have asked this before. What's one of your nicknames?
People call me Miss Swims, I guess, more like a, I don't know, vice president or like something like that. I don't know, but Miss Swims. Yeah.
How about, do you have a hidden talent that most people don't know about you?
I don't think so. I talk really fast. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a talent, but
sign her up. Make her an auctioneer. I'm looking for
There you go.
There you go.
What's your go-to lazy dinner?
Ooh, Dino Nuggets. Pop them in the oven. Easy.
You and my daughter both. We probably asked this one too, but favorite sports team?
I really don't know how well they're doing this season, but I like the New Orleans Saints for sure.
They're 2-5. They're 2-5. They're still in it,
Okay.
but
Better than nothing.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston maybe eventually.
Who knows?
Probably not.
And then last one here, favorite teammate to play with?
Ooh. All of them.
Well, we're gonna we do throw out the name association again. So we're gonna throw out some folks, and you'll see the names that come out. They will be important. But Kinsey Dean, one word to describe Kinsey, or what pops in your mind when you hear Kinsey?
Passionate.
Passionate. How about Cassidy? Cassidy Nelson.
Energetic. I think she's a big energy source for our team.
Right. How about Kinsey Cloward?
Positive. For sure.
I like that one. Shanna Hart.
Ooh. One word to describe Shanna Hart. Loving for sure.
Okay, I can see that. How about Carly?
Before I get to Carly, I was told it was Carly that was supposed to be here, and Alicia is throwing Shanna under the bus. So, but it's fun. No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but
No.
But it was just funny when you walked in. I was like, so I messaged Alicia. I'm like,
she's keeping us
and
on
she
our
goes,
toes.
it was Channa. Channa was the one doing all this. I went, all right, it works for me.
She's just keeping us on our toes.
Yes.
All right. How about Carly?
I'm wondering what basketball player we're gonna get. Now.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Sorry. Go ahead.
How about Carly?
I think Carly's really mature. We can learn a lot from her. Both me and underclassmen learn a lot from her. She's mature.
How about Lisi?
Ooh.
And she's new to the ball club too, so.
I think Lisi brings a lot to the team. I don't know one word to describe it, but she kind of fires us up a little bit, tells us, when to go, when to hit that green light and just go full force. So that.
So those were all the seniors. All right. How about Coach Sean? It just crazy. His comments, I think you.
Sorry.
I don't know. He's kind of crazy.
She told me it's gonna be a plot twist and Silas Benion's gonna come in.
Oh no. All right. How about Coach Sean?
I think he's very supportive of us in a lot of ways, not just volleyball, but school, our own hobbies, and just in life. Yeah, he's kind of that supportive figure for a lot of us.
I think it rubs off. And the only reason I say this is because of everything going on with me right now. The team has been so supportive towards me and in the college and all that. So I want to say thank you to you for that. But yeah, I think he brings that with the entire ball club, and I can see that. So, All right, the toughest, the hardest one, Jada Wims.
Jada Wims is ready. I'll say that. Yeah, anything that might come my way, I think I'm in a good position, to control what I can, leave what doesn't, and just make the best of it.
I definitely show it on the volleyball court. One of my favorite frontline defenders, just for anytime a bump goes a little bit too far. I know you're on the court. I'm just ready for that call because I know you're going to spike it so hard in their face. It makes me laugh every time.
I think for me, it has to be passion. Every time the block, it comes back down and you get down on the back on the floor. It's just like, you've got that. Yeah. I mean, it's just total excitement. And I think that is all from the heart, and especially from you. So that's unbelievable. I'm excited to watch this weekend again. And so looking forward to it.
So thank you so much for coming in again. Friday at 7 p.m. against Warner Pacific, and then senior night Saturday at 5 p.m. A very busy night at the Activity Center on Saturday, but the volleyball team goes up against Multnomah. Senior night for several of the ladies there, so go support them, and let's make it the loudest night that they have had here at LC. There's some tough nights to compete against, but I want that one to be the best. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. I think I told most of you throughout that I think the volleyball team supports this show more than anyone else. We have you guys on all the time. All of you have been absolutely fantastic with us. Again, being able to chat in between games and stuff, or coming over and doing post game with me during wins has been absolutely fantastic. It's been nice to get to know of many of you. So good luck this weekend. Good luck for the rest of the year. Hopefully we can get to the playoffs and make a nice little run. And senior year, good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Jada. I appreciate it.
That is Miss Jada Wims. She is an LCSC senior for the women's volleyball team. Thanks for coming in. Listen, just watching her out on the court is just, I'm excited. There's certain people that you see. She's one of them that you want to come and watch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think I embarrassed her by saying it wasn't who we were expecting. But that's radio for you. Things will change. Jada's an absolutely wonderful person. And as Alicia had messaged me, her answer to her word association for herself was a fantastic answer. And hopefully more people can be as ready as Jada Wims is. It's going to be a big weekend for LC sports. Not only do you have your 2 final volleyball home games of the weekend, I talked about Saturday being a big day as the LCSC women's team will have their season opener also on Saturday. That's at noon, as they will be taking on Westmont from California. LC is 3-1 against Westmont all time. The last meeting was back in 2018, and Westmont was ranked 2nd in the final NAIA poll. I haven't looked to see if we got new polls up for this season yet. Maybe I'll do that before our guest shows up. But they were 2nd in the final poll. They did make it to the round of 16. So it's no easy contest to start the year for LC, but we'll be talking about it here in a little bit. And I think this LC team is going to be really, really good.
I think they're going to be really stacked. What they can do all year. I mean, the way they played last season, getting to know each other and watching them mesh from the first game I watched in early November to where they finished up, or in the end of July, the end of January and stuff. When I saw my last game there, it just looked like a totally different ball game. They just mesh so well. So I'm excited to see where they go.
And Alicia telling me in text that new polls are out tomorrow for the season. So go check those out. They'll be on NAIA.org, and then Alicia will have write-ups available on LCWarriors.com once they get out. Yeah, I got to believe the Warrior women will be on there. Very curious about the men. They start their season officially on Friday as they will travel on to Arizona to take on Arizona Christian, who's a very, very good team as well. LC has 8 new players on this team. They only have 7 returners.
Right. In this game, when they played this weekend, it was a little bit closer than it was last year. Last year, LC blew out the Mountaineers. Yeah. And so it's got to be the
they tried some different stuff. They have some injury issues. They only had 9 players suited up. I have no stats because Austin wants to keep everything hush-hush going into the game on Friday. So we'll talk about more of how this team looks after the Friday game. A couple players that really impressed me. We will see where things go. It's always nice to have that Seattle Mountaineers game as an exhibition to start. A bit of an elder team in Seattle, players that had been in college before. They can kind of give you some good advice. A bit of a bigger, more physical team than a lot of the LC opponents that they will face, especially in the Cascade Conference. So it's a good test, I think, for the men to get that game out of the way. They do come out with that win, like you said, 84-80. One more quick note that was announced today for the women's team. Grace Bearden of Orfino has signed to play for that team next year. So more local talent showing up, as we have John Lustig of Colfax and blanking on his name, the kid from Pullman. I hate myself.
Grayson, not
1 second.
I wanted to say Grayson. That's not right.
You're not covering for me. It's not working. I'm losing it. Grayson Hunt. There you go. Yeah, Grayson Hunt, the 6'6" freshman from Pullman. So we got some good local talent around here. So it's been fun to watch. All right. Let's get into our pick'ems. You again got our 1 pick different.
Yeah, but I was so far behind. I'm now 10 games behind.
Alicia, I got it, Alicia. Thank you.
I'm 10 games behind now.
You are 10 games behind. You are 85-47. Very, very good.
Respectable.
And I am 95-37. I went 13-3 last week, and I'm still mad.
Yeah, 14-2, 13-3. I think we finally figured out what our high school teams were doing.
Yeah, but now it gets more difficult. Yes. It's playoff time, and now they're going to be up against teams from the South that we have never seen, and it'll be interesting. Let's start off Middleton at Lewiston in the 5A Idaho tournament. If Lewiston wins, it is sounding like I get to travel south and call my first football game in 3 years, because Danner was mentioning to me that most likely he will not be able to make that trip. So we will see how that goes. And just for that reason, and I do think they can get it done with their great rushing team, but I'm going to take the Bengals.
I'm going to take the Bengals. The only reason I'm taking the Bengals is some stuff that I looked at earlier today. Middleton only putting up an average of 28 points a game. That's the only thing looking at them. But on the other hand, They're only allowing 22 points a game. Lewiston, putting up 45 points a game. I think Lewiston's offense is just going to be too much.
Yeah, unfortunately, the winner of this team does play the best team in the state in Meridian.
Right.
So that'll be a much difficult test. Hopefully, the Bengals get it done here, and then maybe you can pull off the upset. That's the fun about tournament time. You never know. Let's go to the 1A Division II Idaho tournament. Obviously, Kendrick with the bye, but Lewis County taking on Garden Valley. Garden Valley, again, just crushed a local, St. Mary's or whatever. Last week, they also beat Lewis County a couple of years ago, the last time Lewis County made the playoffs. So I will be taking Garden Valley.
Yeah, and taking Garden Valley also. And again, the one thing looking at for me, Garden Valley is putting up more points than even Lewis County. So give me Garden Valley.
Then you go to the 1A D1 Idaho tournament. Kamei with the bye. But Clearwater Valley will take on Raft River. Raft River is one of those tough teams down in the south, but I really like what the Rams have been doing the last few weeks. I think they struggled early on and have really kind of gotten into their groove. So I think Clearwater Valley is going to get the win.
Yeah, and me too. I think they're just going to be too much, 7-2 on the season. Pretty much own the entire White Pine League. So, next to Kamei, and that being their only loss. So I'm going to go with Clearwater Valley.
Out of the 4 tournament games, this one was the hardest for me to pick. Lapwai at Butte County. And this is both this and the Clearwater Valley game, are both on Saturday. Butte County averaging over 50 points a game. Lapwai averaging over 56 points a game. The Wildcats dealt with their own injuries for a while, and I think their 5-3 record is actually deceiving. But I am still going to take Butte County, and I am hopeful I'm wrong, and I'm okay getting this one wrong. I just don't think that they're going to be able to beat Butte County and how good they have been playing over the last few weeks as well. So sorry, Lapwai, prove me wrong, please. But I will go against the Wildcats.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me is I'm going to take Lapwai just because they've been playing a little bit better, and they're hitting their stride at the end. I don't think they make it through the next game, but I think they can come out and be dominant enough, even though they are on the road. So give me Lapwai. I need one different from you.
Get off of playoff time. We'll get to the Washington schools real quick. Clarkson at Grandview. Give me the Bantams.
Yeah, this game does not matter for the Bantams, but it will be interesting. Grandview 1-7 on the season. They've scored a total of 74 points.
Oof.
They're allowing 324 points on the season. Their last 3 games, they have lost by 50 points or more. Give me the Bantams on the road in Grandview.
So running clock in Grandview this weekend, most likely. Pullman at West Valley. You're telling us we need to root for Pullman, so I will take the Greyhounds. But why are we rooting for Pullman?
Yeah, so the way everything is stacked up playoff-wise right now, we beat Shadle Park. Shadle Park has beat West Valley. So now it needs to happen. Pullman needs to knock off West Valley. If that happens, then Clarkson ends up being number 1 in the GSL 2A. So give me Pullman. Come on. Go Greyhounds. I hate saying that.
Northwest Christian at Colfax. Colfax has had a rough year. They've played some really tough competition. Northwest Christian is very tough competition. Give me Northwest Christian.
Yeah, Northwest Christian is way too good. So I'm taking them the whole way.
DeSales at Garfield Palouse. Give me DeSales there.
Yeah, DeSales 7-1 on the season.
They've been really good.
Really good.
Pomeroy's at Sunnyside Christian. Again, they were on a 5-game winning streak. Kept team scoreless. Then had a really tough time against that team that they played. Why am I blanking? Liberty Christian. Sunnyside Christian is very good as well. Again, I'm hoping I'm wrong here, but give me Sunnyside Christian.
Yeah, and I kind of, for me, I think it's a bounce back. So I'm wanting, I really want Pomeroy to do good. Supporting one of our buddies. Having past kids playing. Benny's about ready to come up. So I just want to see Pomeroy do really well.
On Saturday, Asotin is hosting a team that needs to change their name.
Would you like me to say their
Go
name?
for it.
Lind, Ritzville, Sprague, Washtuckna, Calotus. It'll be in town taking on the Asotin Panthers.
Change your damn name. But I'm taking you. I'm taking the Lynn Ritzfield group.
Yeah, Asotin has got a lot of youth, and so love Coach Jim Holman, what he does with that program, but I think Lynn Ritzville's just a little too dominant.
All right, let's get to college real quick, and then we'll get to our next guest. Number 14, Utah travels up to the Palouse to take on Washington State. WSU has pulled off some big upsets, struggling as of late. Coming off a bye, though, so it could be interesting, but I'm still taking Utah.
Yeah, Utah favored by 7.5. I think they're just going to be too much offense for the Cougars, even though, Cougar fan, me, Utah.
Idaho is at Sacramento State. Vandals have been very, very good. They pulled off the upset against Montana. Sacramento State, a top 3 team in the country. I don't know if they can pull off this one as well. Give me Sacramento State.
Yeah, I think Sacramento will be just too much for Idaho, even though the emotion that's happening with that club in Idaho and what they're doing right now, new coach. I think Sacramento is just too much.
Number 2, Ohio State's a 15.5-point favorite, which is a lot, against number 13 Penn State. But give me the Buckeyes.
I think the Buckeyes are going to win. I don't think they cover the 15.5. I think that number is way too high. Give me Ohio State, even though I hate saying that.
Number 9, Oklahoma State at number 22, Kansas State, who's a 1.5-point favorite. Cowboys had the big comeback against Texas this last weekend. I don't think they'll need the comeback. I think they're just going to beat Kansas State on the road.
I think Kansas State has been playing quite well. And I think the deception of number 22 in the nation is a little bit deceiving. I think this game is probably the game of the weekend. But give me Kansas State because I need to make up some more ground.
And the MAC completely disappointing me. There's no Wednesday games this week. So we're not going to have any craziness on our 2 games, or we just pick random schools and 2 that I can guarantee you I've seen 0 snaps of. Louisiana at Southern Miss on Thursday. Give me Southern Miss at home.
Yeah, Southern Miss, I think, is just going to be too much for Louisiana. Louisiana's struggling this year, so I'm going to take Southern Miss there.
And then East Carolina at BYU. My Zach Wilson's alma mater. Give me the Cougars.
I was back and forth with this all day long, but I am going to go East Carolina. I needed another upset. I think BYU is good, but I'm hoping that East Carolina can come out west and pull up an upset.
You are listening to the R&R Sports Report right here on KLCZ.com. Also, usually on the R&R Sports Report Facebook page. Go follow there, even though it's not working today.
I went back like 3 times and it's still not doing.
But I appreciate those that have made the trip over to the YouTube page that doesn't get enough love. So while you're there, like and subscribe and do all of the stuff that we usually don't say.
It's on now. It is live now.
So we're there. It's just making me a liar. It's whatever. All right. Go ahead and introduce our next guest while I cry over in the corner.
Well, here we go. And this young lady, a senior, coming back to play in what I think is going to be one of the most exciting seasons for the LC Warriors. Addison Clavey, how are you, young lady?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
It is great. It is now basketball season for you guys. The emotion, the hype, it's here. Are you ready for the 23 season?
I am so ready. I've been waiting for this ever since the end of last season. I just was prepping for the next one. So I'm very excited to get things going.
So season opener is on Saturday. You guys, noon versus Westmont. The last time you guys met was back in 2018. Westmont also, we did talk a little bit earlier. They were ranked number 2 in the final NAIA poll and made it to round of 16. This is a big matchup to start the season off.
It definitely is. I'm really excited for the competition. I mean, it's great to be able to play a top contender very early in the season. We get to kind of see where we are, how we match up, and what things we need to work on in order to have the most successful season possible. So,
well, you appeared last year in all 31 games, made 3 starts, averaging almost 23 points a game.
23 minutes.
Or I'm sorry, 23 minutes a game. Oh my Lord. Here, let me check.
23 points a game this year, right?
Yes, please. 23. I'm predicting right now 23 points a game Coach Orr, make sure she gets that.
No, but yeah, obviously, I mean, you led the team in assists with a little over 100. Team last year was fantastic. 28-5 on the year, couple losses there in tournament time. We ranted many times about the COVID
Many
losses.
times.
Yeah. Oh,
I
the
know.
COVID
And
losses.
the fact that those even counted, or
Yeah.
the way that was handled, still is baffling. So 28-3 is way we will call you. It was a very good season, of course. Most of that team, at least the main component, coming back. How do you guys feel like you guys are gonna get going this year?
I feel like we're gonna get off to a good start. I mean, last year you guys saw we play fast. We like to get up and down. That's our thing, and that's something that we've been preaching a lot this year as well. And it also helps that the freshman class that we have, they compete every single day in practice with us. They're pushing us to be better. So having that kind of competition is really getting us prepped for the season.
And you said that you've got a lot of youth on here on this
We
ball
do.
club this year. Talk a little bit about how, what things look like for a normal practice, especially with those new the freshmen and even the sophomores.
Yeah, so like you said, we do have a lot of youth. It's a good stepping stone for us upperclassmen. We get to be leaders. We get to kind of help them understand the game, because college basketball is a lot different than high school. I know that transition's hard. Having done it myself, it was I wouldn't say it's not it's difficult, but it's like you can do it. And so we just kind of tell them about our experiences, what we did to try and prep. And then we always tell them if they ever have anything that they can always come to us. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure everybody is successful, because everybody is a part of this team. We need everybody. So we want them to be as successful as possible.
So explain. So it's always interesting to look at the team dynamic that happens, especially in college when there's a lot of turnover and new players come in. And I honestly, from all the teams here at LC that I have seen, I've never seen any issues. But what is your mindset coming in, where there is a lot of young talent coming in and they are competing against you guys really well in practice, but you guys definitely seem like you're still supporting that group and making them better. Is there ever a worry of losing your spot in the back of your mind, or it's just, I don't care, we got to win?
In my mind, all I care about is winning. I want to win. So if that means one of the freshmen gets to step up and play, I'm all for it. I'm all for winning. It's all about the team. I mean, not one person can do all this. We all have to do it together. So that's my philosophy. That's
what I like about here. Is usually you'll get that kind of drama going on at like an Idaho or WSU, and here it's like, no, we just want to win.
We just want to win. It's all about the team. So whatever's best for the team is best for the team. So.
You played a little bit of time at Bellevue. Talk about your time at Bellevue.
My time at Bellevue was great. I unfortunately suffered a season-ending injury my freshman year, and so I had to redshirt, so I was there an extra year. And I will say playing at Bellevue did help me kind of mature more as a player. It helped me kind of gain more confidence in my leadership, because I know everybody was expecting me to just be like this big leader, and it wasn't really something I had been in high school all that much. That wasn't until like my senior year, and I still didn't really understand how to be a proper leader. But I feel like my time at Bellevue really helped me become that leader. And then transferring here, I was able to kind of take what I learned at Bellevue and apply it here as well.
So for me, I want to ask you, I'm all about the high school side. What was it like playing the Tahoma area, bigger school?
Yeah, we were a big school.
I mean, here, you say Tahoma and you think, wow, that's going to be huge. I mean, we have all these 1A, 2, D2, D1 teams other than, Lewiston with 5A. What's it like in that environment over there?
It's a lot different. I will say that there is a lot of competition with ours, and I don't know how much you guys are aware with like the 4A, 3A system and like the different types of leagues that there are, but it's very competitive. Like every single game you play, it's basically do or die. And there was a couple of games in high school. We learned that the hard way. We had a couple of losses that kind of affected our our playoff rankings and everything. And so the one thing that was nice was I was able to kind of play in a little bit bigger crowds. So once I came here, it wasn't as much of a shock as it has been for some people. I was kind of used to having a bigger gym, bigger people, like more crowd and everything. So
Right. And that's the one thing you say, bigger crowd. So
Mhm.
I'll ask you this: when we've been on this with the volleyball team,
Hmm.
it's been a huge difference this year watching, and you and I've sat next to each
Each
other
other,
at
yeah.
the table. It is a huge difference this
Oh, yeah.
year having the student section in, having things back after everything
Last year,
being
yeah.
last year.
Mhm.
Are you super excited to finally get a big crowd like that
I am.
in the P1 FCU Activity Center?
I am. Everybody's always talked about how the students are here when it comes to
Mhm.
sporting events. That was a big thing of why I decided to come here. Just the support you get from everybody. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see what it's like in full swing. Because like you said, last year with COVID, it was kind of limited. It wasn't until I think our last like 3 games when it was kind of full capacity. And we kind of got a little bit of what it was going to be. So I can't wait to see how it's going to be this year.
My bigger question, because the way the scheduling works out, you guys play at noon.
Yeah.
And then volleyball is right after at 5. So are you going to get done with basketball and get showered up and come back on the table and run the music, or what?
I was told I was not allowed to run
No?
the music afterwards. I was told to just enjoy the time
There
after
you
the
go.
game. But I will try to be there to support the volleyball girls because I know they're kind of in crunch time right now, trying to get into the conference tournament. So I feel like they need as many people there supporting them. So
Obviously we'll talk about the returning players near the end of this, but I want you just kind of list off 2 or 3 of these new names that we got, because there's a lot of new players on this squad. Just give us a couple names to really look out for this year.
I would say Peyton Hymas, she's one to really look for, and Lindsay Wilson. I think those two, like I said, we all compete and practice every day, but those two really are stepping up to the challenge right now.
Yeah. So out of the team, the core team that's come back, I mean, is there a lot of focus this year on staying balanced with play calling? Are we going to be seeing a lot of Sarah, a lot of Maddie? I mean, how are things with practice looking right now, as far as we looking forward to who's going to be out there?
They're pretty balanced right now. We always preach play to your strengths, so everybody has their own strength on the floor, and we do the play calling based on different matchups. So depending who has the weaker matchup, we're gonna call a play for them to try and get them the ball. If we need a 3, we're gonna call a play for a 3. So we kind of try to keep everything balanced and try and get everybody involved. Because, like I said, we're all about team, so getting everybody involved. That's what it's all about.
How much prep time do you guys watch? A lot of video? Do you watch? And I mean, high school stuff. We use Huddle, and so I mean, do you guys get a lot of time to scout?
We do. So we typically will spend at least 2 days. We typically spend the whole week scouting, but we don't start I think we start watching film about 2 days before the game, and we actually have scouting notebooks where we actually write down the plays that they run. So we kind of have an idea of what they're going to run, what they're called. So when we see them on the court, we recognize how we're going to guard it and know what we're supposed to do. So we take our scout very seriously, and that is one thing that I do like, being able to kind of prep for. You can prep for anybody, honestly. So
that's extra homework.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you talked about last year being in a very fast-paced offense. With the newcomers, is it going to be that same fast pace?
Oh yeah. We've been preaching. We want to run. We want to. If we never have to set up a play, that's perfect. We're all about transition. That's what we want to do. We like to get up and down. We like to tire teams out. So
I like it. All right, let's get to the fun questions that we do. Here are the hard-hitting questions that are only here at the R&R Sports Report. So what's your favorite board game?
Favorite board game? You guys heard of like the CNITs?
Yeah.
I love all of those. I think my favorite one out of all those would be Friends. I love the show Friends.
I would be terrible at it. Have you ever played the CNITs game?
No, I have. I think once or twice, but
I don't. They've probably, the technology's probably gotten better. But when I played them, you put a DVD in the
they
thing.
They don't make them anymore.
They just CNITs are just done.
I think they stopped making them.
Probably because nobody uses DVDs.
Yeah, no one
anymore.
uses DVDs anymore. Yeah, but no,
you would have thought that they would come up with a better technology. Like there would have to be like a Roku app.
Like a streaming type of thing. You would think. Yeah, no, they stopped making them completely. But
that's a missed opportunity. We need to get into that line of work.
I don't know. That's just crazy.
Good invention right there.
Yeah.
You said Friends. I have to say, are you DVRing the big Diane Sawyer interview with Perry on Friday?
I need to. Thank you for reminding me about
Yeah.
that. I need to do that.
I know. How did
So lost.
Matthew Perry with Diane
Mhm.
Sawyer, big. Yeah.
He's
Anyway,
talking-
I'll
He's
see
gonna
him.
do a whole tell all about the backstage drama
Yeah,
of Friends.
Yeah, he's
Actually-
gonna talk about his memoir that he just
Interesting.
that he just published. Yeah.
Gotcha. What's one of your nicknames?
A lot of people call me Addie. That's pretty much the most common one.
Yeah, if it, yeah. My hidden talent is I can't talk, but it's not very hidden. Do you have any hidden talents that people don't know about?
She's a heck of a DJ. That I will tell you.
That's
have-
not hidden. We hear it every week.
I know, but Kinsey Clower does not go over and tell her what to play like she did to me. I'm just saying.
That is true. The only thing that they do say is they do get on me. They're like, "Can you turn it up just a little bit to like try and get them more pumped up?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I can do that." But other than that, they get into the music. Hidden talent, I guess. The one thing I can touch my tongue to the top of my nose. I can do that. I don't know if that's a talent. I guess I gotta show you now.
On the radio, I guess. Go
Yeah.
for it.
Oh,
There you go. I can't do it.
I can't do
I
it.
guess
No.
I guess that could be a hidden talent. I don't know.
I don't know if it's a hidden talent that can make you money or anything.
Yeah,
that's
no,
for sure.
I don't have any of those, but maybe I'll get into DJ business when I'm done. So
There you go.
Mhm, mhm.
We definitely need more of those. What is your go-to lazy dinner?
lazy dinner. I love pizza rolls. Just throw pizza rolls in the
Mhm.
oven. Oh, perfect dinner. Perfect late night snack. Oh.
Yeah, we
And it's
go
easy.
that route. And what do we have? Dino
I know nuggets.
Dino nuggets that we
that's
had
what-
before
that's
that.
what Jada said.
Yeah.
Put
I
Dino
always say
nuggets.
that's
Yeah.
for my 5-year-old daughter. It's for me.
They're
I always try to talk her into that.
I'm not
I was like, do you want this for dinner? Yeah,
Dino
that's-
nuggets. Yeah.
absolutely.
unless you're my wife and it's egg rolls in the air fryer. That's
Yeah,
all.
those are good
egg
too.
rolls. I'm like,
Anything in the air fryer is good.
Obviously, you play basketball. I don't know if you follow any other sports, but do you have a favorite sports team?
I'm a big Seattle Seahawks fan. Love the Seahawks. I've been a fan since I was a little kid. So,
It was nice having you on the show.
who are you a fan of?
No, I'm a Jets fan. That's okay.
At least you're not like a Patriots or a 49ers fan. I can
There you go.
be okay with.
okay, I get before you answer the last one for him, I got to ask you:
Okay.
New York Giants, Seattle Seahawks. Who wins that one?
Ugh.
I'm putting you on the spot.
I know
sorry.
you are. Isn't the point difference? Isn't it? Seahawks are a 3-point favorite, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a tough one because the Giants they're on a roll right now. But I think the Seahawks are gonna be able to pull it off with the 12s behind them. That crowd is.
Oh, don't say 12s.
I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness.
That-
This interview is just going off the rails. Let's talk about pizza rolls some more. Let's
Pizza,
get
okay.
back on the high. Actually, one thing you're talking about being a DJ. One thing I've learned over the years is people DJ online now.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
I've
get
seen
hooked
that.
in it. Like I'll be working on our score stuff and I'll just throw that on. It's just a DJ on Twitch. It's just playing music
Yep.
and chatting the whole time. And where the music is not even there. It's just a conversation with
Mhm.
music in the background. But it's
It's crazy now
Yeah.
what
I
you
know.
can do.
what you the Twitch is nuts.
Listen, just even the pro. No, we got to now. All of a sudden, we're talking music and DJ
Yep.
instead of sports. But
Well, we talked about a certain team and I just wanted to
He wanted,
deviate.
yeah, he wanted to get off of that topic.
the program now that we're running that you get to run
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
basketball, and I'm hoping that goes out out on Harris Field too. But
Mhm.
it's so much easier to
It-
get in and run it.
It is. There was a few games where we had where the system was actually down, so I had to go back to just like using Spotify and
Mhm.
having to try and get on the right music at the right time and have it sound decent was
Mhm.
a challenge. Because at least with this program, you can kind of like edit the music and have it fade a certain way,
There you go.
so it's not like just pure silence when you go to like shut it off. So that's very cool.
I also liked all the sound effects they were messing around with. We need to
Oh my-
we need to
I've
implement
yet to
those
hear
in the
any
game.
of those.
You have
I-
They
yet to
did
hear
it
any of those.
during a pregame once, and they went through a bunch of them, and I got rolled the whole time.
it was very funny.
We,
with
we
the-
need to bring those in. This one may be a little bit tougher, but who's your favorite teammate to play with?
like all time or
Sure.
all time, I would say one of my teammates at Bellevue, her name was Natalie Amos. She was one of the hardest workers I think I've ever seen. She was she was going 110% with everything.
Mhm.
Like you could not stop her. Her motor was crazy. I mean, we would have 5:30 practices in the morning, and she just was going like you just could not stop her. And she always held you accountable for what you did. She wanted to make sure you were giving your best, and if you weren't,
Mhm.
you were gonna, she was gonna get on you. You were gonna hear about it. So
That's awesome.
Mhm.
We should find more of my. Will you come and motivate? I mean, maybe you can get her to come, or you can come and motivate my junior high football players to do that. That'd be nice.
I could try my best. As I've kind of tried and taken that on too, after playing with her, being a captain with her, kind of taking the things that she taught me and trying to implement it with this team. And I also tried to implement it with the other teams at Bellevue once she had graduated. So
Nice.
All right, so now we're going to do some word association. So I'm going to give you a name and just the first word that pops into your mind about this player, and we'll go from there. How about
Okay.
Sarah Muehlhausen?
passionate. She's very passionate with everything that she does.
There you go. How about Moscow native Hannah Broyles?
Determined.
I can see that even at the high school level when she
Mhm.
played at the high school
Yeah,
level.
she's very determined. I mean, she's gonna do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So
Callie Stevens.
fast. She is.
Her tempo is very
She is.
quick.
Mhm.
She's probably one of the fastest players I've ever played with.
I keep forgetting to ask her if she finally watched Frozen. She had that conversation with my daughter a couple weeks ago that she had never seen Frozen.
She never. Wow. Oh, I'm gonna have to get on her.
No, that could have just been to
With your
be nice to my kid, but I don't know.
maybe. Yeah. Huh.
Oh, everybody's nice to your kid.
That's
You know
true.
that.
She is the volleyball mascot,
She is.
according to Alicia.
How about Maddie Holm?
Tenacious. She's very tenacious on everything. I mean, she crashes the boards like I've never seen. I mean, she is. There's a rebound. She's getting it. She's
Mhm.
gonna do everything she can to get it. I mean, you'll be trying to box someone out, and all of a sudden, here comes Maddie Holm. Just
Taking control.
Yeah.
That's what's about being a warrior.
yeah.
All right. How about Coach Brian Orr?
I would say passionate. He is very passionate about basketball. You can tell basketball has been his life for. This is what 23rd year coaching here. Ever since he started coaching, he is very passionate about what he does, and he really does want what's best for us and makes sure that we're doing everything we can to be the best possible people out there.
That's awesome. All right. The toughest one. Here we go. Addison Clabby.
I would say poised. I feel like I'm pretty relaxed. I'm kind of poised. I kind of stay cool and collected with everything.
Even keel.
Mhm.
Just kind of like, you don't get all wild up with everything. You just kind of like put that in the back burner and just like do your thing, do what you know, do it to your like kind of control what you can control.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's something you can control. You can control how you act in a certain type of thing. So
Yeah, that's big in the sports
yeah.
world for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Addison, we very much appreciate it. Again, the Warrior women have their first game Saturday at noon against Westmont. Go over to the P1FCU Activity Center. Go check them out. Stick around, watch volleyball in their senior night at 5 p.m. It's going to be a lot of fun over there at the Activity Center. So, Addison, we appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys
I
having me.
appreciate that, Addie. That is Miss Addie Clabby joining us here at here on the R&R Sports Report, KLCZ 88.9. And she is, a heck of a DJ. Love having her out there on the table right next to me. Makes my job a lot easier. I tell you that.
Just so you
Yes.
know, if you ever have to run the DJ during a basketball game, I hope you critique him.
I'll have
No.
to be running along the table, just like play this.
I can see that happening
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. All right. Thanks,
All
Addison.
right. Thank you.
All right, so let's switch over to some NCAA basketball, but not really on the court. Off to the side, Jim Nantz will be stepping away from the Final Four after the season.
The only reason I put this in the notes,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to throw this at you,
Mhm.
is this the end of his career announcing a lot of everything? And I'm including
He may
the Masters. I'm
no,
including,
he'll do the Masters first.
but I mean, he's
longer.
getting to that age that, it's time to,
The rumors that I was hearing on the radio after work last night, and this is just going from hearsay from one of the radio shows I listened to on the way home, is that the rumor is it's Ian Eagle who's taken over
Right.
at the Final Four next year. The belief is Ian Eagle was taking offers from other places
Oh.
because he's very, very good play-by-play person, and he had, very recognizable voice, and he was taking offers or fielding offers, and CBS in a pitch to keep him around said, "We will give you the Final Four."
Gotcha.
And obviously you'd have to pass that with Jim Nance. Yes, he was getting up there in age, and maybe we'll slow things down. I'm sure we'll still hear Jim Nance in some shape or form during March Madness, just not for the Final Four. And then, of course, the Masters and all the other stuff he does. So I like Ian Eagle.
I do too.
I think he's a great play-by-play. I think he'll bring an energy. I think Jim Nance brought like the poise, like we just talked about, the poise and the tradition to March Madness, like he does the Masters. And I think Ian Eagle will be able to bring a bit more energy to that play-by-play. We'll see how all that works. Hit on NASCAR just real quick is Kyle Larson just dominated Homestead. No one was even close. Sadly, he is not in the playoff race anymore, but maybe Bubba Wallace crashing him lit a spark under him. But he gets the big win. So right now your playoff standings, Logano is locked into the championship race. Ross Chastain is up 19 points, Chase Elliott up 11, and then William Byron leads Denny Hamlin by 5 points for that last championship spot. And Hamlin 5 points out, Blaney 18 points out, and then you got to think Bell and Briscoe both are must win to get in. And Christopher Bell did that last round where he got the win at the end. Big race at Martinsville, second to last race, and the last race before the big championship this weekend.
Yeah. Lots of things going on there. In golf news, Rory McIlroy defends his championship at the CJ Cup in South Carolina. He ends up winning, shoots bogey on the last hole, but still ends up winning by one stroke over Kurt Kitayama. He now the number one world ranked golfer. What do you think of that?
Yeah. I've never cared about rankings in golf.
Yeah. Next tournament coming up is the Butterfield Bermuda Championship in Southampton in Bermuda. So, sign me up. Let me go cover that one. Somebody give me a chance to go and watch that. I'm not even. I know Eric's not listening, but there's sparks starting to fly between Liv and Phil and Rory.
Drama and all that. No way. Nobody saw that coming. Hey. We got 2 minutes left in the show. Let's talk World Series.
Oh my God, we didn't talk any.
We have
MLB.
not talked baseball.
Oh my!
We had 2 hours. We had some great guests, so we talked a lot of football. I was ready to talk baseball before this, so if anybody's out there that's still listening, hey, World Series starts on Friday. I'm only slightly bitter that the Yankees are not in it, but I was expecting it. I was not expecting a sweep. It is whatever.
7 straight wins.
Houston is such a good team. Like we make fun of them for the trash cans and the buzzers and whatever other things you can make fun of them about. Team is stacked. However, Philadelphia is riding some sort of high, and that crowd is nuts. And watching San Diego Philadelphia games was completely different energy wise than watching Houston Yankee games.
I agree. The one that I am looking forward to, and everybody would probably say Bryce Harper. I'm more looking forward to watching Hoskins play.
Yeah.
I think that's the guy that might make the difference for this Philadelphia team.
Well, the main one to watch is Haven says he wants the Phillies to win. We will see. And we'll do our predictions here at the last thing. Most likely in Friday's paper, I will have a story up on Connor Brogdon, who will become the second Lewis Clark State College baseball player to play in the World Series. Of course, Keith Folk played back in 2004 for Boston. So very cool for Brogdon. He was a big part of game 4, where it was kind of a bullpen game, and the first reliever came out there and just stunk. And Brogdon did a great job of calming things down and allowing the Phillies to get back into it. Didn't get the win because he didn't pitch through the 5th inning, but it definitely was very good. So I should have a story up on that on Friday for the Tribune. So best of luck to him. And as we go out, who do you got and in how many games?
I'm going to take the Phillies. I just want the Phillies to. but it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be at least 6 games. I'm going to say Phillies in 6.
I would love to see the Phillies win. I think they will win at least once. I don't think that Houston's going to sweep their way all the way
No, I
through.
don't think
I think the energy of Philadelphia will get them 1, but I'm going to say Astros in 5. They're just too good of a team.
they're talented.
But with that, that's going to end our show. Again, I would like to thank Jada Wims for surprising us, and that's great. We always loved having her on the show, and Addison Clabby coming on the show for the first time. Both of them will be in action at the P1FCU Activity Center. Volleyball Friday at 7, and then Saturday at 5 p.m., and then women's basketball with their first game of the year Saturday at noon. Men are in Arizona on Friday, so check out lcwarriors.com to keep up with their opening game as well. Idaho in playoff time. Clarkston and the Washington Sports getting close to playoff time in football. So a lot going on, a lot to talk about next week. But for now, that's Robert. I'm Randy, and we are out.